not manage the health without have proper materials. I want to thanks to Flaviana to invite me and give me such responsibility, because it's a huge responsibility, but I'm sure together with my inviters we will succeed this session. And also we are lucky to have here the invited speaker specialized in many fields, and also we join here universities, institute, research institute, and also company. So we can pass from the materials from health, from the beginning, from the raw materials until commercialization. And I will invite near me the guest speaker, and the first is Professor Izabela Stancu. Yes, first I will invite everybody, and if it's not suitable for you to stay there because it's maybe not visible to the desktop, you will go in other place. But she is Vice Dean of Faculty of Medical Engineering for Politehnica Bucharest, and she has a lot of projects, and you will see in her presentation. So she has not only university course, she is involved also in many researches with great results and very nice publishing. You will see. The next speaker, which I invite, she is coming from the field of, especially for analysis of Z materials, and in the program it was Dr. Roxana Piticescu, but because she couldn't join us, she sent us one representative, and I'm inviting here Dr. Madalina Cursaru. She is other famous researcher, but not only, she has also own spin-off or company. Maybe we speak something about this. She has a lot of projects and researchers. Then I will be the speaker. I'm from Leather and Footwear Research Institute. I'm a senior researcher, first degree, and I am leading the collagen department, and I will speak about, I have expertise in the biomaterials, about 25 years. So the order which I take here is from novel materials, analysis, transfer technology, and then I will pass to some clinical studies, and I'm inviting here in the program, it was Dr. Edward Liciu, but I'm inviting Dr. Mihai Dragomir. He is from University of Medicine and Pharmacy Carol Davila, and he will have a presentation, especially in clinical trials. And the last but not the least, very important for us, is regulatory manager of Biosyntex, and she will present us something about regulation and commercialization, which is the last step of a product to reach the people, because this is our aim. Mihaela Lazar. So they are my inviters, the speakers, and I'm happy we can pass all the details about medical devices, especially medical devices. So, as I told you before, I will start with Professor Izabela Stancu, and she will tell us today something about novel materials and the result, which results from her research project. Thank you, Izabela.
Is it better with the microphone? I'm not very used, so yeah, I hope to manage it. First of all, thank you for the very kind introduction, and thank you for the invitation of being in front of you today. I'm just going to start the loop Madalina described today, speaking a bit about naturally derived biomaterials for tissue regeneration, which is one of the main pillars of the research I'm conducting at the University Polytechnic of Bucharest. We are a team specialized in the development of biomaterials, and this started as a very interesting journey more than 20 years ago after defending the PhD thesis in this field. And my team specialized in engineering biomaterials for tissue regeneration. One of the guiding pillars of this research consists in following an extracellular matrix-inspired development to build hydrogels and to build composites which serve to this tissue regeneration aim. In the same time, we developed a state-of-the-art infrastructure and protocols in order to be able to fully characterize these materials, because you cannot engineer and develop without this compulsory set of skills and facilities. And last but not at least, I would like to stress that, as all of us are doing in this field, in the last years, we focused quite a lot on new processing methods, including 3D printing and bioprinting, which holds the promise to resolve a lot of remaining challenges in the field of tissue regeneration. Well, it is widely accepted that biomaterial innovation actually has the potential of transforming the medical technology. And in this field, developing cutting-edge biomaterials is essential. And in order to have chances to reach the topic our last speaker today is going to approach, we have to consider FDA approval, and we have to consider other aspects, including sustainable biomaterials, including working with less toxic solvents, and including benign solvents in the research. Therefore, we do believe that working with biopolymers, developing hydrogels, biodegradable polymers, and their composites holds the promise to revolutionize the medical devices, especially for tissue engineering and tissue regeneration. And of course here, the focus of my presentation today is going to be on sustainable biomaterials, especially polymers and composites developed with inorganic materials of natural origin. And in the coming minutes, I'm just going to give you an overview on some of the research performed by my team within different research projects, just to convince you on how important and how big potential these naturally derived materials have. And the building blocks of our research are represented on one hand by biopolymers, and we work a lot with proteins and polypeptides and polysaccharides derived from different biomass, including wood and seawood derived, and biominerals. And the main classes of biominerals used in this research consist in calcium carbonates, such as the cattle bone as origin, and the biosilica from diatoms. And with this, we build particles, granules, microfibrillar scaffolds through electrospinning, and last but not at least, as I already mentioned, 3D printed constructs and 3D printed acellular scaffolds, with the final aim of developing cell-instructive scaffolds, cell-instructive coatings for existing, even commercially available implantable devices, and antimicrobial solutions. So to start with, I'm going to refer to an application which is a main application in our team. And since my PhD thesis started with the development of bone substitutes, we continued in this field. And the driving idea is starting with a bone extracellular matrix-inspired approach, considering the complex architectural organization of the bone tissue, then the nature of this extracellular matrix, which is a nanobiocomposite consisting in collagen mineralized with nanoapatite, and last but not least, the quality of these extraordinary materials, which is a dense nanostructured materials. And with all these things in mind, we try to come with solutions including the providing of biphasic materials, of course biocompatible with a certain bioactivity, able to instruct cells and stimulate bone extracellular matrix formation to really have promise in stimulating bone regeneration. One of the, older but very important projects that we developed in this field was a project in which we developed bio-nanocomposite particles for bone regeneration using two biopolymers, gelatin and alginate, loaded in situ with nanoapatite, and the processing method we applied was the electrostatic bead generation to produce, I think this is not. Okay. Leading to particles that were able actually to stimulate cell adhesion and the cascade of biological events, leading further, even in vivo, to bone tissue regeneration in those defects. From this experience, we moved further little by little, and one of the most important projects that we had developed is also focusing on bone regeneration, but bringing in, of course, the potential of the additive manufacturing. And actually, one of the directions in this project was to develop nanostructured bone substitutes able to be personalized as a geometry. Of course, we used 3D printing for this, and we developed a very interesting ink for 3D printing based on fish gelatin, a blue biopolymer, and biosilica coming from diatoms, so a blue inorganic material. And this project has proven the potential of this ink to stimulate osteogenic differentiation, bone extracellular matrix formation, validated in vitro. We look further to develop this for in vivo in order to continue with it. In the same project, another direction aimed at the surface reconstruction of bone, and here we had a different approach. We developed microfibrillar reinforcing elements using biodegradable polymers by melt electrowriting, and these were used to reinforce hydrogel matrices based on methacrylyl gelatin and alginate. This was successful. We managed to get very interesting scaffolds with proven potential as well to be used for bone surface reconstruction. In an ongoing project, which continued the previous one, we moved from bone regeneration to osteochondral generation, which is, I would say, even more challenging because reconstructing the osteochondral unit remains one of the most difficult challenges nowadays. What we typically do in a nutshell is, using again the same biopolymers, we try to develop the articular cartilage surface through hydrogels reinforced with microfibrillar structures, while for the subchondral bone part, we use extrusion 3D printing with ink derived from the previous one that I mentioned, developed in the other project. And now we have the two components under development. They promise, but we still have 1 year to put them together. So it is challenging, but again, this is a very nice project, and the materials and technologies are really appealing to stimulate us to continue. Another project developed to bone, this time involving 3D bioprinting, had as a focus to develop a multi-component bioink in which cells to be accustomed. And we developed this using triple nanostructured approach with nanocellulose combined in an organic matrix consisting in methacryloyl gelatin and alginate, and two additional nanomaterials, nanodiamond nanoparticles and magnesium hydroxyapatite, were used to play with the properties of the resulting microenvironment. This was proven to be efficient in stimulating as well osteogenic differentiation and bone extracellular matrix deposition in the end, but this was a very long and challenging research. For 4 years, we were just trying to resolve the challenges in building the bioprinted object while keeping the cytoviability suitable, and then being able to have a stable enough scaffold in order to perform the further in vitro investigations. Another project, now moving from the bone side to soft tissues, let's say. Another project which is very interesting and which takes advantage of the so important biopolymers that I mentioned is an ERANET project which aims the development of biodegradable and antibacterial matrices for wound regeneration. And here we come with developing a system fully different compared to what I already shown. We develop hybrid silver nanoparticles, nanocellulose nanoparticles, which currently are under development, and we successfully proved preliminary and antibacterial activity versus positive and gram-positive and gram-negative bacteria, but this research is ongoing. In the same field of soft tissue regeneration, a different project aiming to biofunctionalize polypropylene mesh for fixation of the abdominal wall. This brings me a bit closer to our speaker, Mihaela Lazar. Was successfully developed, and actually what we've done was this time to play again with biopolymers, and I'm referring to derivatives of gelatin and mucin, in order to coat these polypropylene meshes, which are normally inert, in order to render them able to better integrate in the tissue. So here you see such scaffolds coated by cells after the coating with biopolymers and some bioactivation with PRP. And last but not at least, another interesting example, playing with the same raw materials, was the development of some nerve regeneration conduits using this time a different fabrication technology, electrospinning, leading to microfibrillar scaffolds, and you see how our products looked like. This was an interesting research as well. So, the conclusion of this journey in our research would be that these materials really holds the promise to resolve a lot of aspects. We do not necessarily have to look for new biomaterials. Perhaps it would be better to merge the progress in processing technologies to engineer and reinvent biomaterials. And of course, we are open to including other partners in this research. Thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Professor Stancu. really great research, and we know this is only few of your research. You combine materials and biology, and also all the in vitro study. And we have time for one short question, or we leave the question in the end. How do you prefer? In the end? Okay. Thank you very much. And I invite now Dr. Mădălina Cursaru to present some results, especially in analysis, and what is the critical raw materials in medicine.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much, Mădălina, for your introduction. As she already said, I here represent Dr. Roxana Piticescu, who isn't able to be here today. And we are coming from the National R&D Institute for Non-Ferrous and Rare Metals. So that's why the title of our presentation is Critical Raw Materials in Medicine. So the presentation content will be structured like this. We present the main type of critical raw materials that are used in medical devices, then the main vulnerabilities of the supply chain and risk mitigation, the possibility to apply circular economy for medical devices, also the link between modern medicine and critical raw materials, some brief applications of critical raw materials in the medical field, and the pioneers of resilience. So, in 2023, there were 34 critical raw materials listed, and some of them are new entries in this list. So, along with platinum, gold, vanadium, tantalum, strontium, tungsten, well-known critical raw materials, in 2023, copper, nickel, manganese, helium, and arsenic were also listed as critical raw materials. They are very used in medical devices, in all kinds of medical devices. I will present briefly this, the main type of critical raw materials, the metals used in medicine, because due to their properties and advanced functions of the devices. So it is known that titanium and titanium alloys is used in prosthetics, in implants, dental implants, because they have a good osseointegration and are highly resistant to corrosion. Also, the stainless steel, even if it's 304 or 316L, is used in surgical instruments and orthopedic implants because he is very high mechanical resistance, non-porous surface, corrosion resistance against body fluids and sterilization agents. Also, another well-known metallic alloy is nickel titanium, also known as nitinol. It is a shape memory alloy, which is used in devices like stents and catheters that must deform for insertion and then return to their original shape. Another type of alloy is platinum iridium, which is highly biocompatible and radio opaque for intricate implants and guide wires. Tantalum, it's a very expensive metal, but it's a low corrosive, highly conductive metal, and it is used also in surgical instruments, implants, and electronic components in medical devices. Gold and tin, of course, are used in certain electronic and medical components. But among the metals, the most known and the most used rare metal in medicine is gadolinium, which is used as contrast agent in magnetic resonance imaging and produce clearer and more detailed images in MRI. Neodymium and samarium are used in high-performance permanent magnets because they are critical for motors in implantable devices like pacemakers and cochlear implants. Yttrium, it is used in lasers such as neodymium, yttrium, aluminum garnet lasers for cosmetic industry or for radiotherapy for cancer treatment. And the europium, another rare earth element, it is used in bioassays and sensors as radioisotopes for cancer therapy due to its luminescent properties. Now, which are the main vulnerabilities of the supply chain of these critical raw materials, and how we use to mitigate the risk? So the main risks are geopolitical and concentration risk, because Europe is very dependent of China to supply these materials. So China dominates 70% of rare earth mining and 90% of processing, and we are very conscious of this aspect, especially during COVID-19 pandemic, because this it was very difficult for Europe to supply with these elements, and that's why we have to identify alternative sources of materials to increase recycling and circularity of these critical raw materials. Conflict minerals, also elements such as tin, tantalum, tungsten, and gold, are also used to fund armed conflicts, and that's why medical device manufacturers must conduct diligence to ensure responsible sourcing. So we have to find innovative solutions to substitute also these metals. And of course, we have to have in mind the high purity requirements for medical devices, because it is known that if we use a metal, we need a purity that often exceeds 99.99% purity. It is the case of medical grade gadolinium, who for this reason, it's very expensive, and these costs are often passed on to healthcare providers and even to patients. So as a mitigation solution, we have to increase supply chain resilience. Circular economy for medical devices. Having in mind all the things said before in the previous slides, we have to rethink the design of medical devices, so maybe to use less quantities of, or to replace these critical raw materials, to reduce the use of these elements, to reuse critical raw materials from other medical devices that reach the end of life, to recover energy from the waste materials, remanufacture, repurpose, or renew the devices. So the link of this CRM with modern medicine, it is known that using gadolinium, doctors can peer inside the human body with unprecedented clarity, facilitating over 40 million scans annually worldwide. Also, in the case of europium, terbium, and lithium, they are fluorescence-based elements used in diagnostics, and they can detect diseases at concentrations 1,000 times lower than the conventional method. So this is very important. That's why we use these critical raw materials. In the case of neodymium and samarium magnets, they are used in implantable devices like pacemakers and cochlear implants, and they represent very good examples of miniaturization that have transformed countless lives. So that's why these elements are not quite medical devices, but because they do not participate in biochemical reactions, but enable high-performance devices in medicine. Their unique magnetic, optical, and catalytic properties make them irreplaceable as an application where performance margins are measured in lives saved or lives lost. So some of the medical applications of critical raw materials are presented in this table. In the case of lithium, it is used in bipolar disorders. We have a lot of elements used for cancer therapy, like gallium, ruthenium, platinum, gold, and samarium for bone cancer. It is known that titanium is used in hip and knee replacement. We have also stibium for leishmaniasis. We have arsenic for sleeping thickness. We have silver for burns, and so on. And the pioneers of resilience, these are the two companies. So Siemens Healthineers started to invest over $500 million in supply chain resilience, and they are the company that implemented circular economy principles. Also, the General Electric healthcare company tried to reduce the dependence from China. And that's why they invested heavily in research to reduce rate dependence from China and to find non-Chinese producer for all these materials. Thank you for your attention.
Very complex and very concentrated presentation, and we learn a lot of things. You identify also the problem and the mitigation, so solution to solve them. Yes, also metals are important, also natural polymers are important, and this was actually the session of new materials and application in health. And we'll pass now to the second part, which is about reglementation, production, and advanced technologies. And I will have the next presentation. Just a second, I will try to be in time also. Today I will present something from our research. I will present new challenges in fabrication of class 3 collagen medical devices. Why I choose this subject? Because as I told you, since I can forget, it doesn't matter, it's okay. I have expertise in collagen since about 25 years, and I will start with a definition. Of course, everybody knows definition of medical device. This is why we are here in this panel. So medical device is any tools, apparatus, appliance, software, implant, reagent, or other article intended by the manufacturer to be used alone or in combination for human beings for diagnosis, prevention, monitoring, prediction, prognosis, treatment, or alleviation of the disease, any injury or disability. Here we will speak about of a wound dressing, and will be simple, not alone with a combination of any drugs, and especially for some treatment of the injury. The medical devices are classified in low risk and according with excuse me, I go too far. I want to press, so from the low risk, which go to market only with conformity assessment by the manufacturer. This is about some textile bandage or mask, and can reach the class 3 of medical devices. And today I will speak about this class 3 of medical devices, but which according with the rule 18, they are devices manufactured by manufacturer use the tissue or cells of human or animal origin or their derivatives, and they are classified as class 3 according with regulation, European Regulation 745 from 2017. And collagen biomaterials we extract especially from bovine skin, and they are class 3 of medical devices. Why I'm speaking about this? Because we have more than 50 years experience in this production of collagen sponge from bovine skin, and between 2009 and 2017 we had European certification. At the time we were pioneering in Romania, but in 2017 we lost them because we have not enough funds to keep them on the market. We are still receiving calls from patients. They want such products, and we try to put again on the market. But we are here not to speak only what is good, also what is not good, and to learn one each other what can do together, because this is why we are from different field, different from company, university, and research institute. But the situation is critical also in Europe, not only in our country, because looking to European database of medical devices, I find the CA mark collagen. I'm speaking only about collagen medical devices, not about different things. Only 8 products with CA mark, and worst, they are coming, only 3, they are coming from Europe, and the other coming from India, from South Korea, New Zealand, China, and Japan. So only 3, I'm not speaking about FDA, I'm not speaking about there are a lot of formulation, like food formulation in all the market. The other are food, enter on the food. I'm speaking about class 3 medical devices. So the situation is not too happy for us, and this is why we are trying to see what are the problems, what are solutions. This is the problem. So the concept, scientific research, we already passed by a lot of projects. We win projects, more or less in every competition. We have a lot of collaborators, so there is no any problem. Also in preclinical studies, in clinical trials, but the limitation is the regulation. Because without have approvement, we cannot pass to the market. If we are not passing to the market, we cannot reach the patients. And our aim is not, of course, our aim as a researcher is to have a lot of publication, to have patent, to have this is indicators. But looking to people which are suffering and which are calling, I need this wound dressing, you are not feeling full. You cannot be happy because your research not reach the aim actually. And what is limitation? We have especially financial problem because the certification cost very much, and maybe my invited speaker will tell about this. And also there are other limitations about regulation. And what to decide? 2 years ago, we start to change the source. Instead of bovine collagen, who has the main limitation to transmit the cow disease from animal to the patient by prion, we try to change the raw materials to be more easy to accelerate to take certification. And we look for marine collagen. This marine collagen also has some disadvantage because there are a lot of people who has allergy because of smelling. Nobody like to smell the fish after, or I don't know. And it's more expensive because it's not so easy from skin fish to obtain same amount of collagen than from bovine. Bovine has also advantages, but we have to balance what is good. Advantages is the composition of amino acid is much similar to the human one and has very good stability. And from marine, I can say is very fast process, but not very easy. It's only fast. In about 1 week, we can get some collagen gels. And we start to do this in a project in order to take what we need, equipment, clean room, and to improve. And then maybe we'll turn back to our first love, bovine collagen, in order to, because we already have a market and we can use all the clinical trial from before according with this new rule. And if rich people are using sturgeon for caviar, researcher using waste to obtain some medical device. So we start with the skin of sturgeon, and we obtain collagen gel. I will pass fast, and we can speak in the break about the properties. Here we have some comparison between bovine collagen and sturgeon collagen, and there is no any problem. Sturgeon collagen has very good results, also triple helix keeping, and the rheological characteristics. And after obtaining these gels, we pass to lyophilization and obtain the sponge, and the sponge is wound dressing, which can be directly applied to the wound, and has a very good properties of absorbance of the liquid, about 25 times more absorbs the liquid, has good keeping structure, the triple helical structure, and you can see in the same images a very good porosity with a pore size between 50 and 100. And what was very, very surprisingly for us, it was the antibacterial activity against Escherichia coli and Staphylococcus aureus. Why? Because the bovine collagen is behavior like a piece of meat. If you are living outside, start first to smell and then enter in putrefaction. This is the process. And collagen gels, if we are not put any preservative, behave same or take some fungi. About this, you can see has very good antimicrobial activity, and this is a starting of new project, just speak with international partner. Because you see in the presentation of Professor Stancu, she is adding some silver ion to have some such activity. We obtained this, we didn't aim, we didn't know, but this is a very good point to continue our study. Same time has also biocompatibility. So is biocompatible generally, which is antimicrobial, killing also the cells. No, here you can see from the beginning also what is called simple is bovine. Has a very good activity in 72 hours. This was done by fibroblasts, and here we have 8 sponges, also very good results, and good cellular metabolic activity. And in the 3 weeks, you can see where is the blue image, the evidence of de novo collagen deposition by dermal fibroblasts cultivated on the scaffold. So is already start to make a tissue in vitro. We have also results in vivo. And after 16 days, also the hair grow on the induced burn on Winster. I will look, 11 minutes. So we have already a formulation in terms of porosity, absorption, biodegradability, and biocompatibility. And we make also decide the sterilization method will be by gamma ray. We have already, we know what is the steps to bring these products, new products on the market, because we have from the previous certificated sponges. And now we will follow preclinical and clinical trials. You will ask me why you already make some tests. No, we have to have approvement. We have to have certificate from who can give such certificate on cells, on preclinical and clinical trials. And this is a very big problem in Romania. I'm not sure, but we will speak together. If somebody can give some certificate for cells now in Romania, no. So I'm excited to hear your presentation, because you can clarify for us a lot of things. And so we will follow this European regulation. There is no risk for transmissible cow because this is fish, so there is no problem. And we pass already from biomaterial to, we have a ready medical device. We are ready also to transfer the technology or to implement in our laboratories. Thank you for your attention, and I have to thank also to University of Medicine and Pharmacy Carol Davila by their center in Oter. They did a lot of physical-chemical studies. To Institute of Nicolae Simionescu Institute, to the Department Cell and Tissue Engineering, and to Advanced Polymer Materials Group. And here we have Professor Stancu, representative from University of Polytechnica. They are also part of this research. Thank you for your attention. Also, the question will be in the end. And so we passed a little bit to materials, and we have here somebody who want to say about, especially about clinical trials, but also new technologies at 3D printing and the results of 7 years in clinical trials, if I understand well.
Thank you. Să-mi dați și telecomanda, mă rog. Nicio problemă. So, first of all, hello, and thank you for the kind invitation. My name is Mihai Dragomir. I am an ENT specialist and researcher in 3D printing at Carol Davila University of Medicine and Pharmacy, and also a PhD student in material science in titanium. So I'm going to talk about 3D printing as a technology and how we have applied it in developing medical devices. First, the presentation is going to be quite fast with a lot of moving elements. I have separated it into 3 parts. The first is why, so why personalized, why go for 3D printing. Then we're going to talk about the 3 tiers of medical devices that use 3D printing and how they are involved in clinical applications. And then we're going to discuss our use case in our laboratory, how we have implemented these devices in our use case. So why? Because you want to explore and to see as much as possible out of the human body, okay, and what you can do with this information grows and evolves, starting from the first radiography, the first way of seeing inside the human body, then to the first CT scan, which actually took, I think, 3.5 hours to process on a supercomputer back in 1971, then going to a first 3D reconstruction. So you can already see it doesn't take even 2 years until from CT scan, 20 years from CT scan to the interest in recreating the human body from the images that you take using these CT scans. So you can obtain this information. What can we do with it? Well, from the first start, even from the first CT scans, people tried to take those images from the computer and turn them into physical objects, to be able to have the plastic patient, if you will, which will be a recurrent theme as we talk through the presentation and why 3D printing is so important. They tried basically cutting sheets of titanium and stacking them together, sheets by the contour of the CT images, to create these 3D models. In parallel, Mr. Hideo Kodama was creating a novel technology in which, by overlapping layers of material, he was creating 3D objects. This was his house, actually, in Japan. So you can already see we have stacked images of CT on a computer and a new technology emerging that stacks material on top of each other to create 3D objects. So you can already see the combination. And of course, with the advent of new and faster processing power, the ability to create the 3D models from those CT scans, which became already a standard for medical diagnosis. So CT scans were already used in hospitals. Why not take that data and use it for 3D reconstruction? Meaning that you could now create 3D models which are one-on-one scale and correct representation of the patient. So the doctors came and said, okay, now let's use 3D printing to bring them back into the physical world. And first, because it was an emerging technology, the materials that were used in 3D printing had to be adapted to the technology itself. So at first, the first models that were able to be produced were so-called pre-surgical planning models, so non-biocompatible models, just so that the doctors could reference the pathology of the patient on a physical object and practice their surgery steps on those objects without having to open the patient up during surgery interventions. Once these methods were established, the doctors went, okay, let's do some digital surgery, let's move on, because this is the continuous ping pong of medical device manufacturers and medical doctors. The manufacturers bring a new technology to the market, and the doctors go, well, very good, do more, make it better. So once we have digital surgery, of course, came the question, but can you bring it back into the reality again? And then came the emergence of biocompatible 3D printable materials, so objects that could be sterilized and brought into the operating theater as surgery guides. So pre-surgical planning and then surgical guides, which could basically bring the digital surgery back into reality with cutting planes and drilling holes and all those maneuvers to be able for the doctor to reference them during surgery. The doctors came again and said, okay, but what happens if I have, for example, extensive tumor and I have to remove part of the bone? What do I substitute? Because your surgical guide will allow me to cut the bone, but what can I substitute it with? The medical engineers come back and say, okay, now we can bring titanium to the market and we can 3D print the titanium and create personalized medical implants. So pre-surgical planning, surgical guides, and now the crown jewel, surgical implants, biocompatible materials that are destined to remain full-term, long-term inside the body. Okay, and the doctors came again and said, okay, but titanium is very heavy and it's very rigid and it creates tensions in the bone surrounding it and creates bone resorption. What can you do better? And this is where we currently are in the development of composite implants made of titanium meshes and substitute reinforcement materials, be they resorbable or even fully biocompatible osteogenic materials, which is actually the theme of my PhD study, developing a new generation of medical implants. So this is where we are right now. And this is what the future reserves us. Of course, we have already seen plenty of research towards bioprinting. So the medical engineer, the doctors came again and said, okay, I want to remove anything unorganic from these implants. Give me fully biocompatible, fully resorbable. And this is what the market wants right now. But it's becoming more and more difficult as this complexity of materials increases. It's becoming much more challenging to balance the manufacturing capabilities using these bioresorbable materials with the manufacturing and biocompatibility of the material itself. So it's, while the initial steps were extremely aggressive and were extremely fast in developing and putting on the market new ways of personalized medical devices, when we're talking about bioprinting and biocompatible, fully biocompatible materials, we have seen a slowdown in this acceleration, but as well a very wide ramification in materials and possibilities. And this is the next subject that I want to talk about. The market has evolved quite dramatically, and there have been, let's say, two ways of developing and implementing 3D printing in medical practice. One has been local 3D printing hubs, especially in the West, in university centers, which can afford to dedicate one room or many rooms to 3D printing their medical devices for the patients interned in this admitted to the hospital. And in parallel, a lot of companies, private companies, who have migrated their manufacturing from standard medical devices, forceps, tools, whatever, towards a more personalized approach, from General Electric to Stryker to EOS, a lot of European companies as well, migrating and seeing more and more approach towards personalized medical devices. All of these highlighted are European companies. So Europe is actually, I think, a forerunner in this field, a forerunner in the field of personalized medical devices. And I think the technology itself has a lot of potential to be added and integrated in modern medical practice all around the world as costs go low and this integration difficulty goes lower and lower. So we're migrating from standardized medical devices, especially if we're talking about implants. You can, for example, in knee surgery, the standard way of doing it is to have a full tool set of different sizes of prosthesis, which you have to bring to the operating theater, see which one fits best the patient, and then the other ones discard or re-sterilize or reuse, towards a more personalized approach where we can design one single item perfectly fit to that patient, with much less material waste, much faster and easier production processes, and much faster throughput. Okay, so I've talked about pre-surgical planning, surgical guides, and surgical implants, and how they implement basically in the workflow, general workflow of surgical planning. Pre-surgical models go towards the analysis part of a case, where the doctors discuss the patient, they integrate the information from all departments of medical that will go into that surgical process. Then surgical guides and surgical implants, which go directly inside the operating theater. And this is what we want to promote as well as our laboratory. So when we're talking about pre-surgical planning, and now I'm going to migrate towards some materials and examples and a much more, let's say, personal to me approach as to what we do. When we're talking about pre-surgical planning, we're talking about taking the CT scan that the patient already takes and creating 3D models, one-on-one models of the anatomy of the patient. As I said, the plastic patient, if you will. Which means that we can use materials that do not need to be biocompatible, because this is not going into the operating theater, but I can use very cheap, easily to produce, and also local production materials such as PLA and bone-like PLA, which are extremely recyclable, which the European Union, especially in Poland, in Spain, in France, have a lot of industry behind the plastic industry fabricating these filaments. And I can also reuse these materials, they are infinitely recyclable. When we're talking about surgical guides, we want to bring the digital surgery back into the operating theater. We have a lot of materials that we use on high quality SLA and MSLA 3D printing machines, which are able to create extremely high resolution models that will enable the surgical team to basically reflect what they planned on the computer back into reality. This time we're talking about metaacrylates and metaacrylate resins, which unfortunately, as of right now, are not completely recyclable, but the advantage of using 3D printing is that I need to use the material strictly to fabricate that object. I don't need to have a block of resin, for example, from which I cut and drill the model that I need. And of course, because we were talking about the 3 steps, we also need to have the element that we substitute, which is where we use titanium using 3D printing to create these personalized medical implants, which has been a wonderful material for our use. It has seen, it's almost 50 years, it's celebrating its 50 years as use as a material in 3D printing, much less as 3D printing in medicine, but has seen extended use, meaning that it has proven itself to be a fabrication workhorse as a material for developing these medical implants. It is also, because we're talking about 3D printing, extremely efficient as a material cost to fabricate these implants, as opposed to traditional methodology of fabricating, CNC machining or pouring. And also because it is sintered, created in an argon atmosphere, you can infinitely recycle all leftovers and all supports because it doesn't degrade during manufacturing, which is extremely efficient. So these are the materials that we're using. These are the benefits, and also the benefits from a European standpoint. Again, basically all the materials that we currently use in our laboratory are EU sourced, and the 3D printers, half of them are EU sourced, and are already seeing development of EU-based companies developing the 3D printers themselves. We've talked about materials, we've talked about the tiers. This is the last part, and I'm going to be short, promise. I don't want to hold you too much. But just to prove some concepts of what we do, for example, in medicine, we do mandibular reconstructions using surgical guides and pre-surgical planning models, with models that, again, are destined to be biocompatible and to go inside the surgery theater, sterilizable, safe to use. From, we've just celebrated our 500th screw placed using, in scoliosis patients using surgical guides, again personalized for each individual vertebra of each individual patient, which we could only do using 3D printing. And also we have our first success on titanium implants for now in veterinary care, because as we've seen in previous presentations, the certification protocol needs to take a lot of time, especially when you're talking about implants, so class 3 long-term contact medical devices. But we have our first happy patient using a femoral, which you've seen in the presentation in the previous slides. And also, because the technology is ever evolving, we are able to go as smaller and smaller, more finer on these implants. We're talking about an occipital implant using titanium 3D printing that is 2 centimeters in size. Those screws are actually 2 millimeters in diameter. And again, another happy patient. So the versatility is what I'm trying to show you, going from implants to educational models, to multi-material educational models, to even research in bioprinting. It all goes under the umbrella of this magnificent technology that we call 3D printing. And its versatility is what enables us to diversify our portfolio and to create, let's say, to mitigate this barrier gap between medical engineering and doctor's requests, because a doctor comes to us and says, hey, I need this implant, or I need a guide that has to slightly change these parameters. I'm finding difficulties using it. And we can say, okay, we just adapt the design, we personalize it to both the patient and the doctor, and the same 3D printer and the same protocols are able to fabricate the new device in the new method. So this is everything we do, using all these innovative materials and this wonderful technology. Thank you very much for your attention.
We thank you very much for very interesting presentation, and also hope for personalized medicine, because this is actually. And the good news is that you no need a certificate if it's personalized. For protocol, but you have an easy way to go to the market. And the last presentation, but not the least, and with many thanks, she accepted to end of this session because we have here regulation and commercialization. So this is why I changed the order of the presentation. I will invite now Mihaela Lazar, from which is manager of Biosynthex and Rome Biomedical Group. And I'm expecting for a very, very important presentation, because here are the real results, and I can say like a successful story, because you can see her products on the market.
Thank you very much. Hello, okay. I'm Mihaela Lazar. I'm Regulatory Affairs Manager, and I'm representing the Biosynthex Rome Biomedical Group, which is a Romanian group of companies. EU for Health, maybe many of you know, is a program from European Union which was developed after the lessons learned from COVID pandemics. And among the general objectives, access to medicinal products and medical devices is one of the main objectives. In this objective, the patient is center, and from the patients to be safe, with safe, reliable, and affordable care, 3 pillars are also important: the availability of the medical devices, the accessibility, and the affordability, because you can you can have access, but if you cannot afford, it's very bad for patient. The model I will present today is the model we adopted. So we are combining the Biosynthex production of surgical sutures with distribution on the national level of our companies, Rome Biomedica. So in this way, the goal for the objective I presented before is acquired. So the patient benefits from safe and qualified surgical devices. As Biosyntex is offering a broad portfolio of absorbable and non-absorbable surgical sutures, and ROM Biomedica is providing them to the hospitals and other hospital environments, alongside with other equipments and devices for hospital and operating rooms. If I'm to present Biosyntex at a glance, I can say it was born in 2002 from the dream of a Romanian family of doctors, which were full of imports for surgical sutures, and they wanted also to revolutionize the surgical sutures field with locally made surgical sutures. We are today, and we are remaining faithful to that vision, where Romanian innovation is combining with European and international quality standards to which we must comply. So we have a modern production facility in Snagov, which is equipped with state-of-the-art clean rooms and advanced technical technologies. We have ISO 13485 quality management system, which is mandatory for manufacturers of medical devices. We have a diversified portfolio of sutures. I will present it further. They are CE certified, they are on the market. And the main market for us is Romania, but also we managed to go beyond the borders, and we are distributing to European Unions, but all wide. The materials for health I'm presenting today is the portfolio of sutures, which are CE certified. We have non-absorbable sutures and absorbable sutures. As you know from the history of sutures, non-absorbable sutures were the first. Meantime, the research and development made possible to have absorbable sutures. Our absorbable sutures are absorbable by being dissolved from the body, so no remaining in the body of the patient is, no substances are remaining after the resorption time is acquired for each of the diverse sutures. Depending on the polymer from they are made, the absorption time is predictable, so the surgeons can choose, depending on the site of the suturing, which of the suture is proper, depending, as I said, about the absorption time. Also, the non-absorbable sutures are removed after they are fulfilling their intended use, or can remain forever at the site if they are placed internally most. When we are saying what is in the future for us, in the future, I can say it's the new regulatory framework. We are now in transition from the EU medical device directives to EU medical device regulation. I don't know if you are aware of, but Europe has switched the regulation, the medical device directives, into a medical device regulation after a big scandal of implants, breast implants, in which a manufacturer skipped the rules and switched the silicone grade, medical silicone, with industrial silicone, and made huge damage to more than 10,000 women across Europe. So the rules which are enforced now are very strict. The MDR regulation was written by a few teams of lawyers in order for patients to be better. This means that for manufacturers it's a burden. But of course we are trying to comply because we want also that the patients be happy and to comply with the rules. We are now in transition from the EU medical device directives to regulation. In 2017, we faced that the only Romanian notified body seized the action And we needed to find another notified body. We have found. We were at the time in a transition very painful for us because of the requirements and the resources, mostly in the founding, to be certified by a notified body outside Romania in Europe. Beside this activity, which is an activity for us very long or too long because we have to face many challenges and to prove that our devices are good even they are on the market, and to go with new clinical evidences even the devices are legacy device on the market, we are implementing some funding programs, and we are trying to keep up with the state of the art, which means we are developing the next generation of sutures. The next generation of sutures means the sutures which can reduce infections, which have some antimicrobial coating, or which are knotless closure assuring. We also are automating our production. We are preparing the automating line for manufacturing in order to scale up the production. And we are moving to a new ERP, but also to new quality standards because we are implementing an artificial intelligence-based visual checks. Also, we are trying to secure our IT systems and assure strong cybersecurity. As you know, it's a big problem today with the AI revolution. Rom Biomedica, on the other side, our sister company, was also founded by the same family of doctors and grew up with Romanian market of medical device distribution. And now, beside our sutures, which are nationwide distributed, Rom Biomedica can offer complete solutions of medical equipment for operating rooms and intensive care units, and for wound management, and also other patient care solutions. Also, Rom Biomedica is assuring state-of-the-art storage facilities and own dedicated transport fleet. So the medical devices are reach the patients in a timely manner. What we learned from being on the market and being on the medical device field is that the transition to MDR requires a full overhaul of documentation and scaling of regulatory teams, long delays, and a lot of learning. Learning because we don't have models. It's a new law. We have to learn new rules by ourselves. We have learned also that the process of transition is very complex and unpredictable. What the manufacturer says, it's okay. The notified body which is involved in the certification says, it's not enough. It's okay, but it's not enough. We want more. And that's why we think that restoring a national notified body instead of OTDM, which ceased its activity in 2017, would be a great improvement for medical device manufacturers, Romanian medical device manufacturers. Regarding funding, we have learned that to have access to European funds supports the digital transformation and modernization of production. Otherwise, all the resources are gone in the MDR preparation. And also, we have learned that having state-of-the-art technology is the key of success. Because without AI or artificial learning devices, in few years, we will not be state-of-the-art no more. So I'm reinforcing our message that we can assure from local production to distribution strength a trusted solution And in this way, we are in line with all for health priorities I have summarized. Thank you.
I want to thank you very much that you introduce also the European program. After seeing yesterday your presentation, I didn't focus on this for not repeat, but thank you very much for your presentation. And I'm happy to say we have also time for question because my guests, the speakers, was in their time. And I want to say good afternoon and hello to online who is looking for us and if there are questions from there, because we are here and we can speak a lot in the break, but they cannot have chance to put the question. If you are agree to start with if there are some questions, and then I will give the word to you. Is there are question on online? Okay, thank you.
Hello, thank you for the presentation. I will read one of the questions from online. So please feel free to answer who consider to. So from your perspective, how can we simplify or modernize the regulatory pathway to make innovation medical materials accessible faster?
Is it maybe you are the most proper to answer to this question because your expertise in this field?
Unfortunately, the regulatory landscape cannot be speed up. It is what it is. Instead, we can have access to acquired knowledge, maybe training programs. I was involved in a training program, NoboCap, which was I think 2 years ago, in which we have learned a lot of tricks and tips because we were put as a representative of manufacturers in front of a notified body which was also involved in the program. For us was a good experience because we have learned some requirements from the notified body. As I told you, MDR was written by the lawyers. And as any law, it has prosecutors and lawyers who are defending the client. So each phrase or proposition in the MDR can be understood by the manufacturers from their benefit or by the notified body in their interest. Because the notified bodies also are certified by national competent authorities. They are also being audited. So if they are making some agreements with agreements in the quotes with the manufacturers, they will be punished or make some not good results in their audit. So learning is the key for manufacturers, and I don't see other thing because it's not negotiable. Europe gave this law in 2017. It was supposed to enter in force in 2020. Because of the pandemic, was delayed 2021. Because of the requirements which were like this, were exponentially the requirements for the devices. Also, Europe started to give some prolongation of the certification in force, MDD certifications, because the manufacturers were entered in a process which lasts more than 1 year. More than 1 year in which you have to manage the current production and current products with MDD, which means a lot of documentation, a lot of acquiring clinical data to support post-market surveillance, but also to create new dossiers. So, from regulatory point of view, I don't see how to skip the very burden rules.
Thank you. I can add something. We cannot skip, maybe to accelerate a little bit. We can ask like a consultancy company in this field, but I'm not sure if we can find in Romania from abroad. But this means a lot of money. So you have to take also in this account. If somebody has, because has to be experienced exactly from your field of interest. I hope we is okay for if there is other online question or
from online, okay. So it is related to materials. What do you think is still missing to connect academic innovation in materials with real healthcare needs at the European level?
if somebody want to, okay, please. You have.
From our experience, I think what is lacking are entrepreneurial hubs. Our laboratory has recently participated in an entrepreneur and startup boot camp, on which we had the experience of seeing Western universities, Cambridge especially, which have a dedicated private entity, let's say, that's sole focus is to find researchers, read their research directions, find the medical needs, see their needs and connect them. They create they bridge the language barrier between academic literature and academic expression, ways of talking with entrepreneurship, ways of thinking, and what the entrepreneur and the innovators want to hear and want to know about your innovation, and help basically migrate different researchers towards a business-oriented mindset. And I think this, and I'm happy to see that this boot camp was a Romanian-based boot camp, and I'm happy to see that it was a Timișoara-based boot camp, which was a first step towards integrating this mentality into Romanian academics. I think this is the way forward. We need a mediator, basically, between academic speech and entrepreneur speech. And I think this is a way of thinking about doing this.
Thank you very much, Dr. Dragomir. Is there any question? Last one, please.
What key partnerships or EU initiatives could accelerate the largest scale use of sustainable materials in healthcare? And I will add if there are also national this kind of initiatives.
Thank you.
Actually, this remains a huge challenge for our activity because, as Mrs. Lazian pointed out, speaking about syntax, well, 5 years ago, funding remains a critical glue in our functioning. You saw in my presentation a few examples of projects. Each of them was amazing in itself. But when the funding ends, the consortium shifts towards the other funded projects, which means that you may transfer some protocols, expertise, but you do not have always the chance to finalize your idea, which was promising. You make the effort to carefully select the materials, the raw materials, the protocols, trying to adapt to the newest processing tools, characterization tools. Everything goes smooth up to the finding ends. And when this happens, you do not necessarily have the chance to continue with the new funding because the challenge is huge, the competitiveness in our field is huge, and perhaps it would be nice to have some kind of communities, thematic communities, based on similarities or based on complementarity. And this is actually what we typically try to build through national or international consortium. But this is successful to a certain extent. We do not have a real solution. We invest in education, through all the levels of education, in expertise, infrastructure, but everything is moving so fast that it is very, very difficult to keep on while, for example, implementing medical grade materials, because this is another challenge.
Thank you very much. So we can pass now here with a question, or there are still? No, okay.
Sorry, my voice is not so good. You mentioned that you go from one project to another and you can't finish what you started. But as you know, in Horizon projects there are two types which are represent an interest for you. We have research innovation action, so when we start from the concept node to TRL 5, TRL 6, and then we have innovation action. Which are the types of projects where universities can be partners with SMEs in order to bring the product near to the market or ready to market, to TRL 8, TRL 9. For example, the universities are involved in this kind of projects because, okay, I started the project under research innovation action, I got the material until TRL 5, and now I want to go to put it on the market or to work with an SMEs which needs for her medical device your material.
This is a very good question and perspective, which again is very challenging because we were enrolled actually in different consortia applying for the two types of funding. While when being more oriented towards fundamental science, you have chances to come with any kind of innovation which is, of course, strongly supported. The challenge, exists because, again, of this competitiveness. We all focus the most recent trends, and we are kind of trying to explore the combined synergistic effects of what means innovation in all the fields we speak about here. On the other hand, when we go to the more application-oriented funding, the challenge is huge. For example, we had some applications, because unfortunately they were not successful, in which focusing this market-oriented approach, we were starting, of course, with materials which were FDA approved. And the single problem which was emphasized by the reviewers was that the materials are not novel by themselves. While it was compulsory to reinvent, re-engineer the properties, the improved, optimized behavior. So I would say that we cannot generalize that because of this huge competition in the field, you cannot really predict how you should do what you can do. Our members of ROHEALTH were just sharing me the same experience. We were losing European funding while having the maximum score but being declared not funded. It is frustrating, but it is as it is, as you nicely told. So we have to adapt, we have to learn, we have to fight, we have to continue, but it is not easy. I don't have a simple response to this question.
Yes,
I'd be happy to have it, but no.
In today's panel, we also have someone from the perspective of the company. So I also have a question for you, because you are developing also medical devices where you need to incorporate materials, novel materials sometimes, and we know that the regulatory framework is very restrictive, and you need to go through a lot of audits and so on. My question is, when you decide to develop a new product, you are working also with universities, other research institutes, or do you have your own research department in your organization?
We have our own research and department, but we are open to collaborate. But as you know, the companies are fed with money, and the research is two-way activities, successful or not successful.
Failures.
So, in my career, I was involved in a company which started from an idea and a USPTO patent, and finalized a product on the market with CE and FDA mark. But it was the company idea, it was the company money. So the success or the fail was assumed by the company. In this kind of partnership, if we are starting with idea, we can lose money or we can make a boom on the market.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's why I don't think, if it is only an idea, this joint approach for the funding is not a successful one, because in an European fund you have progress reports. You have to acquire some results.
Yes, I know.
You have to have employees for some years, and the idea, if the idea fails, or if you cannot find some laboratories accredited to be accepted by the notified body to go to the market, there are some drawbacks.
Yes, I understand, and it's true for Romanian European funds, which are implemented through the managing authorities from Romania. But for example, in Horizon projects, you also have this option of failure. If we are discussing about innovation action where we need to demonstrate our solution in a real environment, and for example, after 2 years, the project can have a length of 5 years, but after 2 years or 3 years, you conclude that the path you choose is not good to continue, you can stop the project, and the European Commission will not come to take your money which already you spent it, you know, because yes, so this is a big difference regarding this kind of projects, because the failure is something they accept, because, you know, research also can have failures. So we need to go to other kind of funds, not only Romanian or European funds through Romanian authorities. Thank you very much for your answers.
We are thank you for the question, also for the answer. And we have one more question, please.
So actually, I would like to go back to the Romanian rules, let's say, or environment, and just to ask to you, what is your opinion about the patent legislation that we have at the moment, the transfer of knowledge, transfer of technology, and besides the regulations that we have at the national level, what is our involvement with lawyers that tell you about information about material transfer agreements or partner agreements or intellectual property? Who has it and how does it have? And royalties, because when we speak about market, we also go to royalties, which can be further used to develop research and to accelerate research and development, or not, and then it can get to frustration and to, I don't know, going to other fields. So I would like to see your perspective about that, because my own perspective is that we are way behind. I mean, only if we define what is dissemination, valorization of R&D in Romania is different from Western Europe. If you think about tech transfer hubs, like use of alumni or investment of academics or institutions into transfer of knowledge and technology, doesn't exist. It's all on paper. It doesn't really exist. And the involvement of lawyers and our law about patents, which is from 1961, it's impossible. So, thank you.
I can give you a good news in this subject. About 1.5 months ago, it was a meeting in Timișoara with managers of institute, general manager sending me there, and it was a presentation, and there are now a guide about intellectual property for institutes, for universities. I will search and I can share with you or with who want to know, because they give all the templates how we have to protect our ideas. There are templates for everything, and how we have to share the researchers with institute, or if we want to sell our patent, and they are in connection with European property law. So there is a team, and they make a very nice presentation there. So it's fresh. It's just maybe in September they put on the website, and I will take that guide and I can share with you. I was really happy to see this, because I was feeling like somebody take care of us. We are making, exactly as you say, a lot of patents because we have this indicator for the project. But some of them, I cannot say how many I lost. Osim told me, oh, we already published that this patent, there is no. And I have a very bad experience. I applied for a spin-off, and I learned my institute didn't pay it, and I lost the project after full work. So now I'm feeling like somebody take care of us in this subject, and I will share this information with you. And if, so, okay, say, maybe you know better, because I know Dr. Roxana Pidicescu, she was a pioneer. She already know and explain us about this. Okay,
yes,
please.
I will complete the response. Our experience in Romanian patents is that, of course, you have to be very careful. If you want to patent your research, you must apply first for the patent application and then to publish in scientific articles, because they will reject otherwise your patent. Also, it is very important to note that in 1 year after you make your Romanian patent application, you can apply for an European patent. You just need to translate your Romanian patent in English, and then it depends on how many your institute have to publish and to protect this European patent in 3 or 4 or more European countries. And then you have to translate the abstract in English, French, and German. You have to be to pay attention, as what Albu said before. You just need to pay attention that your institute paid your patent, already published patent, every year, because otherwise you'll lose your protection. This is very important. In my case, the same. I am owner of a spin-off. My spin-off was funded based on a Romanian patent from our Institute of Research, IMNR. And then in this patent, I was also one of the inventors. And the Institute licensed the patent revendications, claims to my spin-off. And this was the basic condition to find my spin-off. So you can apply for Romanian patent and then to apply for European patent, but you must be very careful and not to publish before patent your research.
Thank you very much, Madalina, for your, please.
If I could add just one more thing, I think regarding again the bringing academics back into the private world, I think, and what I've observed is the questions from Romanian entrepreneurs were always: do you have a patent on your research? Do you have anything protected? While everything I've heard from Western entrepreneurs were, where do you see this going forward? They did not care about the initial patent. Again, obviously any spin-off coming from a university, the university will want either to protect its patent and to maintain that patent under its umbrella. I think also a shift in mentality from the entrepreneur side, from the private side, to say, okay, you keep that patent, we'll get the researchers and we'll see how we can diversify or use that research towards new ways. Okay, you can have a patent on a new material or a new production method, but we can further develop a patent on the use case or something else. That's not, it should not be be-all and all. The presence or absence of a patent on a research team should not be a be-all and all for a private equity or entrepreneur to take those researchers and get them on a business side. That's our opinion. Thank you.
We thank you very much for, and I think there is one more question, please.
Thank you so much. I'm Alin Anarche from Laser. So I have a question because we are speaking about patents. So what we are doing with the patents? Okay, we have it and we keep in the office, or because in my opinion, I think the future of the research is to do spin-off. So we have a happy case here. And yeah, because I think this, and I think we have to push the policymakers to help the academia, the institute, universities with the spin-offs. Maybe, I'm not sure, maybe do not pay some fees, some taxes, or maybe to have some, I don't know, discount for the fees of the employments. But I think, and in my opinion, I think okay, in this case is about materials for medicine, for health, but I think this can be applied in all research fields. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your question. So indeed, in the case of research institute or universities, I think we have a reduction fee for taxes. But your question, what we do with these patents we put in on the table, I think in Romania we are very scared from each other. Oh, okay, my colleague Professor Stancu, not to steal my research, so I am first to make this Romanian patent. I think this is the problem in Romania. This is the main problem. That's why we are making a lot of patents. And also in the case of experimental demonstrative project, it was a request indicator. Okay, your project has to finish with a patent request, not only ICA publications. So I think this is the Romanian concept of the patents.
Other problem is from application to real patent is take a lot of years, 5-6 years, about and losing idea in or somebody already taken put on the market if we are not protected well. But actually we have with this patent, we have to transform patent in money. Give a little bit help of industry. This I think we have to do, but what we have to do, what is actually is not the same.
Yes, I think this was the idea of the spin-off, to take the idea of the research from the institute and to apply it to go to industry. But the same in the case of medical devices, the same problems that were spoken before. It is very difficult to go on the market without the CE license, CE label on your product. So I don't know, somewhere it's...
Thank you. Maybe we have time only for one question because it will be lunch break. Yes, please. Yes.
Yeah, exactly, starting January, and we think the patent is not going to help. Someone will steal this work, someone will make it better. It's inevitable. It's a modern world, everything is interconnected, and especially when we're talking about Eastern, like Chinese, Indian markets, which basically do not care about EU patents, not officially, of course. To have a patent, just put it in the drawer, is the worst thing that you can do in the modern business and modern research mentality, because it doesn't protect you. It's actually not a way, it's not a litigation for you, it's not a litigation power for you, it's more of a litigation protection from others. So you cannot go with patents to block others, you can just go for patents, with patents to litigate others who have already copied you. You cannot block them as much as assert your patent once they have already developed something that is similar to you, which means you will lose a lot of time just to find the ones who are copying you if you are going with patent protection mentality. I think, okay, apply for a patent, say to a business or say towards your university that your spin-off has a patent pending or is applying for patents, and move on with your research, do stuff with it before you already have the patent or before you have that assurance, because as the years will go on and this interconnection will deepen and deepen, I think they will mean less and less as an impact, as a power, as they are now. Patents, I'm referring to them. So just move on with your research and do the things that you want to do with them, implement them, and the patents can stay on a second basis.
Thank you, Dr. Dragomir, to share your thinking. And if is any question more? If no, I have to thanks very much to the invited speaker. They were in time. They have a lot of time for speak and to make interactive question and answer. I want to thanks to you, thanks to the online attenders. And in my opinion, we reach our aim in this health materials for health section, and I want to thank very much, and I think it's a lunch waiting for us. Stay a little bit, I think we have to have photos. Okay. Photo.